Under the deep blue waters, every survival algorithm leads to a single conclusion. The one with the largest teeth holds the power of life and death. For 11 million years, the great white shark has carried out that command with absolute precision. But in the waters off South Africa, this king is fleeing from a shadow that doesn't need longer claws or greater speed to claim the crown. What secret allows a pack hunter to overthrow the empire of ancient instinct with just one touch? The ultimate predators of the ocean. Great white shark versus killer whale. In the waters off northern Japan, the Oyashio current pushes water temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius, creating a harsh and suffocating environment. The ocean here isn't a single body of water, but rather a series of superimposed worlds. The surface layer is where light is abundant and life is most densely concentrated. There, a predator has stood at the top of the food chain for millions of years, the great white shark. It weighs over 2 tons, moves at 40 kilometers per hour, and possesses a bite force of 1,800 pounds per square inches. Enough to break the skeleton of any animal. Sensory organs on its nose can detect even the tiniest electrical impulses from the heartbeats of prey lurking meters away. In this layer of water, the great white shark operates like an unrivaled hunting machine. But the ocean still has other, deeper layers. As the light fades and pressure begins to surge, the rules of survival shift dramatically. Each layer of water forges predators with distinct weapons and methods of operation. Few species can freely cross the harsh boundary between these water layers. But it is at the intersection of light and darkness that a new order is emerging. As the solitary rulers begin to encounter a completely different hunting algorithm. The presence of the great white shark in this water layer defines a perfect hunting machine. Through millions of years of evolution, it has perfected extreme biological weapons to dominate its kingdom. Possessing a jaw containing hundreds of triangular teeth with sharp, serrated edges, the great white shark can tear apart large chunks of flesh with just a flick of its head. When attacking, its upper jaw pushes forward, completely separate from the skull to increase grip and mouth opening. Its bite force reaches approximately 1,800 pounds per square inches, enough to crush even the hardest bone. Combined with a sensitive electromagnetic sensor system in its nose, it can detect the heartbeat of its prey even if the prey is trying to stand still in the dark. For a long time, scientists believed that this creature had no natural predators. Until the end of the 20th century, the first camera lenses captured a shocking truth. Orca killer whales had found a way to overthrow this empire. Orcas didn't use brute force to confront the white shark directly. They employed a more sophisticated hunting algorithm. An orca would dive into the blind spot beneath the shark's belly, suddenly lunge up and use its massive muscles to forcefully ram the shark's flank, flipping it over. This action was no accident, but a blow to a biological Achilles heel. When flipped over, the shark's nervous system immediately enters a state of tonic immobility. A form of complete mechanical paralysis. In this moment, the once powerful ruler becomes immobile and loses the ability to resist. More recently, observations have revealed a new level of surgical hunting. Orcas don't eat the entire shark, but instead make a precise incision just below the pectoral fin to remove the liver. This is the fattiest and most energy-rich part of the shark, providing superior nutrition compared to regular red meat. Each abandoned carcass is not just a meal, but a cruel message sent to the entire ecosystem. Fear spreads faster than the smell of blood. Immediately after these attacks, Entire great white shark populations in the area will flee and not dare return for months. Ancient monarchy has fallen before a more intelligent, collective intelligence. Taking down a great white shark was just the beginning. For orcas, shark liver is like a high-energy nutritional supplement. But that's not enough to sustain a huge family on their transoceanic journey. To build their durable muscles and thick layer of heat-retaining fat, they need a real feast, protein, from marine mammals. Following the cold Oyashio current flowing south, the orca pack enters a new hunting ground. The rocky shores, the territory of Steller sea lions. These are the largest sea lions on the planet, with adult males weighing nearly a ton and possessing skin as thick as armor. Unlike great white sharks, which rely on their sense of smell, Steller sea lions have extremely keen hearing both on land and underwater. They are agile phantoms, able to maneuver their massive bodies in narrow crevices to evade their enemies. To conquer this target, Orca had to completely change their fighting style. They activated a special biological characteristic, passive hearing. All sonar sounds were suppressed to avoid startling the prey. The orca swam in absolute silence, relying only on the slightest vibrations of the water to lock onto their target. They didn't swim in groups, but in a horizontal line, forming a long-range sweeping net. The hunt erupted when the orca swam in a shallow area tactic. Instead of attacking directly, a group would swim around to the open sea, creating a pressure wall to force the sea lions into shallow waters full of reefs. Here, the sea lion's agility was limited by the terrain. And that's when the orca displayed their most powerful weapon, kinetic energy. Using its large tail fin and muscles that make up 60% of its body weight, the alpha orca accelerates with lightning speed, unleashing a powerful tail whip that tears through the water. This impact isn't intended to bite or tear. but rather to create a penetrating force powerful enough to instantly injure the brain or break the ribs of a 1-ton sea lion. The tremendous impact from the tail fin creates a penetrating force that strikes directly at the central nervous system. The once proud Steller sea lion is now completely disoriented. It plummets freely into the deep blue water, its last breath escaping as dissipating bubbles. The Steller sea lion, despite its remarkable ability to hold its breath for up to 15 minutes, cannot escape the carefully calculated hunting equation of the orca pack. A protein-rich meal has been laid out, ensuring the pack of predators has enough energy to descend to deeper waters. Because right beneath this table, where the light begins to dim, another competition is brewing. There, predators are not only clashing to fill their stomachs, but also to protect their right to exploit the ocean's most precious resources. The after effects of the orca hunt hadn't even subsided when, on the other side of the ocean current, a massive feast was laid out. Millions of tuna gathered into a dense mass, seeking safety among themselves. But this concentration only created an irresistible invitation. The bottlenose dolphins appeared first. They activated their sensitive sonar system, a biological heritage shared with their giant orca relatives. By emitting high-frequency sound pulses and receiving the reflected signals, the dolphins constructed a detailed 3D map of each prey's location within the murky water. They coordinated seamlessly, using sound and bubbles to herd the mass of fish close to the surface. However, the chaos and the smell of blood began to awaken another entity. Miles away, a great white shark picked up the scent signal. With a sense of smell capable of detecting a single drop of blood in a million drops of seawater, its brain instantly went into a state of predatory frenzy. It didn't swim straight, but moved in a Z-shaped pattern. A search algorithm based on chemical concentration to pinpoint the source of the blood. As the frenzy pushed its heart rate to its maximum, the shark lunged straight into the middle of the feast. In the turbulent waters of conflict, the shark's and dolphin pod's hunting trajectories intersected. A head-on collision occurred as the over 1-ton shark swept through the dolphin's position to monopolize the food. But this time, the prey wasn't the only one to fear. In the chaos, the bottlenose dolphins understood that if they panicked and fled, the shark's pursuit instinct would make them the next target. Instead of retreating, the dolphins decided to fight back to protect themselves and their pod. They use a unique biological weapon, their snout. Unlike the flexible cartilaginous skeleton of sharks, dolphins' snouts are a solid, rigid mass of bone with no elasticity. Leveraging the superior agility of these mammals and their wide-angle vision, the dolphins coordinate their attack. Instead of biting, they transform themselves into living torpedoes, directly ramming their steel snouts into the shark's soft underside or sensitive gill slits. These are vulnerable points without bone protection, where a thunderous blow from the dolphin can cause internal bleeding or shatter internal organs. Caught off guard and precisely attacked at its weak point, the great white shark, engrossed in its prey, is forced to halt. The pain and the disruption from the surrounding sonar system disorient it. Its survival instinct forces the lone predator to retreat into the shadows, yielding the feast to those who know how to use their intelligence and teamwork to defend themselves. But this victory didn't mean lasting safety. The dolphins knew they'd just driven away a predator. But the chaos they'd created had sent an even stronger signal into space. A familiar, far more powerful sound frequency was echoing from the abyss. The one even dolphins bowed to was approaching. And this time, its target wasn't the small school of mackerel. The dolphin's croaking faded as another rhythm of the ocean emerged. After nearly an hour of diving to breathtaking depths to hunt giant squid, the sperm whales were forced to return to the surface. The moment they surfaced to replenish their massive muscles was when the giants of the abyss revealed their only weakness. In the world of pressure, sperm whales are a biological marvel. They possess enormous reserves of myoglobin in their muscles, allowing them to store vast amounts of oxygen for journeys of up to 2 hours underwater. But on the surface, these 1.8-meter long, 50-ton bodies become slow and inflexible. The signal of their sperm whale relatives was detected by a nearby patrolling pod of orcas. Orcas don't hunt everything, but they always hunt for opportunities. Instead of launching a direct attack on the giants who could crush their opponents with a single flick of their tails, the orca pod employs a strategy of encirclement from a distance. They don't target the powerful adult males, but instead focus their ruthless attention on the defenseless juveniles. Orcas understand that in an unequal battle of size, they must win by strategically isolating their target. But this time, the fortress is ready. Recognizing the threat from the pack predators, the sperm whale pod immediately activates its age-old defensive instinct, the rosette formation. Instead of scattering and fleeing, they rotate in coordination, forming a giant living circle. Their large heads, filled with spermaceti organs, face the center to protect the juveniles, while their powerful tails, the primary source of propulsion, point outwards like 1,000-pound paddles ready to strike. This was a clash of military tactics and defensive discipline. Orcas swam around, trying to find a gap, a stray individual to lure out. They used their bodies to ram, attempting to break the cohesion of this fortress of flesh and rock. However, sperm whales didn't rely solely on size. To counter the orca's attempts to separate the pod, they activated a unique biological weapon only recently discovered by humans. They deliberately created a massive cloud of waste. By violently thrashing their tails, they disperse the waste into the water, creating a thick, foul-smelling fog. This cloud not only irritated the orcas, but also disrupted their sensitive sonar systems, depriving the predators of their acoustic eyes for precise targeting. The battle dragged on in breathtaking persistence. Orcas used endurance to wear down their opponent's oxygen, but sperm whales used unity to maintain their formation. Faced with an impenetrable fortress in murky waters, the ocean's most elite predators are forced to acknowledge their limitations. They cannot fully control the situation when their prey decides to transform itself into a single entity. Defeated at the surface, the orcapod retreats to seek other opportunities. But for the sperm whale, the battle is far from over. They fill their lungs with oxygen once more and dive deep, returning to the eternal darkness. There, an even older, more fearsome adversary awaits them in a battle where light has never reached. Leaving the orca swarms on the surface, the sperm whale dives deep into its true territory. At a depth of 1,000 meters, the water pressure exceeds 100 atmospheres, enough to crush the lungs of any other marine mammal. But for the sperm whale, this is when it activates its abyss hunter mode. Its chest begins to contract to adapt to the pressure, pushing oxygen to concentrate in the brain and heart muscle. In a place where light never reaches, eyes become useless. The sperm whale begins to hunt with sound. It emits the most powerful clicks on the planet, reaching 230 decibels. These sound pulses pierce through the darkness, impacting everything and reflecting back in a detailed acoustic map. Ahead, a giant ghost appears on that acoustic map. Giant squid. This is the largest invertebrate on the planet, reaching lengths of up to 13 meters. If the sperm whale is a symbol of enduring strength, then the giant squid is a masterpiece of adaptation to high pressure. Its body has no bones, allowing it to withstand thousands of pounds of pressure without harm. It possesses the largest eyes in the animal kingdom. Eyes as big as a dinner plate, capable of capturing even the weakest biological light in the depths of the ocean. The confrontation takes place in silence. The giant squid is not the one to take the blow. It uses its 8 arms and 2 long tentacles, filled with serrated, horn-like suction cups, to cling tightly to its opponent's head. The numerous circular scars on the sperm whale's skin are evidence of these deadly struggles at the bottom of the sea. The sperm whale swims through the fierce resistance, using its long jaws full of fangs to lock onto its target. This battle involved no pack tactics or the intervention of light. It was a duel between a lung filled with oxygen from the surface of the water and a boneless body entirely dependent on darkness. Ultimately, the strength of the giant mammal prevailed. The sperm whale devoured its prey, refueling for its journey back to the surface. This breathtaking battle once again confirms, in the harshest environments on the planet, life never surrenders to pressure. The ultimate predators are not only fighting each other, but also battling the very limits of nature for survival. But while these creatures have spent millions of years conquering the ocean's pressure, a new kind of pressure is now silently emerging. A pressure that even the scars of the giant squid or the intelligence of the orca cannot withstand. The sperm whale has conquered the pressure of the abyss, but as soon as it returns to the surface to breathe, it faces a new kind of pressure. A pressure that doesn't come from the gravity of the water, but from the footprints of humans. The ocean we just traversed is no longer a pristine paradise. Every year, more than 11 million tons of plastic are dumped into the sea, equivalent to a garbage truck emptying its entire container into the ocean every minute. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, a giant garbage island is floating, 3 times the size of France, creating a death zone that no living creature can digest. This pressure is directly suffocating even the most perfect survival algorithms. The powerful click sounds and sophisticated sonar systems that orcas and dolphins use to hunt are now being drowned out by the noise of ship engines and geological surveys. With their sound eyes blinded, they become lost in their own home. The strategic hunting grounds of great white sharks are disappearing due to global warming and overfishing. Even giants like sperm whales are not immune to this pressure, as their deep-sea food sources are contaminated by microplastics. The ocean has existed for millions of years under the pressures of nature and the most brutal battles for survival. It has forged top-tier predators, living fortresses, and extraordinary social intelligence. But the pressure from humans, a variable so rapidly and so brutally, is something these creatures have never evolved to face. Will we choose to be observers of the collapse of oceanic dynasties? Or will we become part of the solution to keep the cycle of life going? The wild world is more than just a hunt. It's a learning experience of adaptation and balance. If you want to continue exploring mysterious survival tactics and profound philosophical messages from nature, subscribe and follow the channel so you don't miss the next journeys. The ultimate question isn't who the ultimate predator is, but whether we are kind enough to leave a home for them. Share your perspective in the comments below.
In a world that is eerily quiet, there are forces that make the Grim Reaper wary. What happens when they meet? The three Arctic kings, the relentless hunt of the polar bear, the orca, and the wolf pack. The Arctic tundra, a vast carpet where all life depends on a fragile foundation of moss and lichen clinging to the permafrost. This meager resource sustains a hidden world of countless lemmings burrowing under the snow and perfectly camouflaged Arctic hares. On a larger scale, it fuels the endless migrations of vast caribou herds and sustains the living fortresses known as musk oxen. Even the short summer brings a temporary abundance, when the sky fills with the cries of thousands of migrating snow geese that nest here. And all of them, from the smallest lemming to the largest musk ox, share a single cruel destiny: to become the lifeblood of the kingdom's true rulers. On this frozen desert, the boundary between the two worlds, the ice and the ocean, is a line of life and death. For a ringed seal, safety on the ice is only temporary, because beneath the deep blue water, a white tyrant lurks. This seal has chosen its position carefully. It was far enough from the edge of the breathing hole to have time to react, its large eyes constantly scanning the horizon, alert for any danger around it. but it had forgotten an ancient law of the Arctic. The most dangerous enemies always come from where you least expect them. Below it, a giant held its breath and approached in complete silence. The polar bear, the largest single predator on the planet, had located its prey from the water. A white giant charged out of the water. The seal quickly escaped, diving into another breathing hole further away and disappearing into the safety of the icy waters. In the end, the bear was left empty-handed. In this unforgiving arena, even for the tyrants of the ice, a meal is never guaranteed. This defeat was a grim reminder that, in the Arctic, the line between life and death by starvation is as thin as a sheet of ice. But the real tyrant of the waters is not the bear. For the invisible ruler beneath the ice, a hunt is not a gamble. It is a death sentence from which almost no prey can escape. The killer whale, Orca, the ultimate predator of the ocean, is actually the largest member of the dolphin family. Although its name conjures up images of whale giants, it is scientifically a member of the oceanic dolphin family, carrying an ancient bloodline, graceful form and sharp intelligence that have made it the most intelligent hunter on the planet. It is a powerhouse, a masterpiece of contrasts sculpted by the ocean. Its towering dorsal fin, like a jet-black blade cutting through the water, is an unmistakable sign of its menacing presence. And beneath that deceptive whiteness, its small, keen eyes observe everything with a cold, calculating intelligence. It is the largest dolphin on the planet, a perfect hydrodynamic machine. Its torpedo-shaped body is capable of incredible speeds, making it one of the fastest creatures in the ocean. But its real weapon lies in the invisible world, a biological sonar system that allows it to see, through sound, a detailed map of the world around it, even in the darkest water. They are not just predators, they are strategists of the ocean. Instead of relying on sheer force, they work together in packs with almost programmed precision. They have learned to create coordinated waves to knock a seal from the safety of its ice fortress. A testament to how intelligence can turn the ocean itself into a weapon. But perhaps the most astonishing thing about them is the existence of culture. Different pods of killer whales have their own dialects of communication, hunting techniques, and even preferences, which are passed down from generation to generation. It is one of the clearest demonstrations of intelligence and complex social structures, something rare in the animal kingdom. Their societies are built on matriarchy, a family structure that is affectionate and strong. The entire clan is led by an older, experienced female who holds the memories and wisdom of the entire lineage. When a calf is born, its upbringing is the responsibility of the entire pod, a testament to the deep social bonds where knowledge and protection are passed down through the generations. Standing at the absolute pinnacle of the ocean food chain, an adult killer whale has virtually no natural predators. They are the undisputed tyrants of the icy seas. So the real threat, though rare, comes from their own kind in fierce conflicts over territory. In this vast frozen world, a fragile pact exists between the ocean and the ice. For this seal, the solidity of the ice is sovereignty, a place of refuge, out of reach of the dark waters below. At least, it believes so. From the depths, a family of strategists has arrived. These are the Orcas, and to them, the boundary between water and ice is not a barrier. It is simply a puzzle to be solved. They strike like a dark torpedo. And then, with one final, decisive move, the seal is devoured by the Orcas. The hunt is brought to an inevitable end. This victory is a triumph of intelligence. The Orcas have not attacked their prey, but have manipulated their environment, turning the seal's icy fortress into their ultimate prison. As the apex predator, They are a force of nature that maintains the delicate balance of this entire frozen world. And this action, while seemingly cruel, serves a vital purpose. As the apex predator of these waters, the killer whale is no monster. It is a rock, a force of nature that maintains the delicate balance of this frozen world. But winter's reign is not eternal. When the sun never sets again, the tundra sheds its white cloak to embrace the green of life in a brief, lavish feast. The vegetation explodes with moss, lichen, and brilliant wildflowers, feeding migrating caribou herds, families of musk oxen, and countless Arctic hares and lemmings. At the same time, the skies ring with the cries of returning migratory birds, all rushing to take advantage of this brief bounty to continue their species. For an Arctic hare, it is a time of abundance, but also of danger. Absorbed in the tender shoots, it strays too close to where the rulers of the land rest. And then, from many directions, the wolves rushed out. The distance between it and the first wolves was widening. Finally, the rabbit gradually lost its strength. It is a white ghost of the north, clad in thick white or cream fur to blend perfectly into the snowy landscape. Beneath its camouflage is a mass of lean, supple muscle, designed for long-distance chases. And amidst its invisibility, only its amber eyes glow, reflecting a wild and uncompromising intelligence. A full-grown wolf can weigh up to 45 kilograms, an ideal weight for combining strength and agility on the snow. Their real weapon is not their sprinting speed, but their almost limitless endurance, allowing them to sustain a chase for many kilometers. Their large feet with specially insulated pads help them move efficiently through deep snow without freezing. Arctic wolves are masters of pack tactics, a deadly symphony conducted by silence and invisible signals. They do not attack blindly, but will test and corner their prey. finding the weakest individual before tightening the siege. Their goal is to exhaust the prey, minimize the risk to the pack, and ensure a sure victory. The Arctic wolf's howl is not just a form of communication, it is also a unique acoustic fingerprint. When the pack howls together, they will simultaneously change the pitch to create the illusion that their pack is larger than it actually is. This is a sophisticated psychological tactic used to intimidate rival packs and protect their territory. In the pack's tight social structure, only the alpha pair are allowed to breed, a bond that often lasts a lifetime. When the female wolf gives birth in a warm den, the entire burden of rearing does not fall solely on the parents. The entire pack cooperates to bring food back, guard and nurse the pups, demonstrating that the pack is not just an army, but a family. Once fully grown and traveling with a pack, Arctic wolves have virtually no natural enemies on the tundra. A large polar bear can easily drive them away from a carcass, but direct confrontations are rare. So the most frequent and devastating threat comes from their own kind, in ruthless territorial battles. But a small meal only sharpens their hunger. And now the pack turns its attention to a much greater challenge, a living fortress of the north. The musk ox was an ambitious target. Compared to their defensive strength, the wolves could not face them head-on. A single charge could be fatal. However, the wolves had superior intelligence. They began a dance of death, a psychological test full of tension. Immediately, the giants took action, forming an impenetrable defensive circle, sharp horns pointing outward. The wolves were undaunted. They circled around, making false lunges to probe, looking for an opening, and they always knew how to separate an individual from the protection of the pack. The general attack broke out. The whole pack charged. A bull has been captured. Amidst the returning silence of the tundra, the feast of fresh meat has officially begun. In this battle, intelligence not only triumphs over vigilance, but also perfectly demonstrates the power of collective intelligence. By besieging, applying psychological pressure, and patiently waiting for even the smallest mistake, the wolves have turned their physical disadvantage into a tactical advantage. And the death of this giant has vital implications for the entire tundra, as they help control the muskox population, ensuring that only the strongest individuals survive. This is how the wolves fulfill their role as the cruel but necessary balancers of the Arctic. From the failed attack by the polar bear, to the deadly wave of killer whales, and the calculated siege by the wolf pack, we have witnessed the three faces of power in the Arctic: lone power, pack intelligence, and the ability to manipulate the environment. Each strategy is a masterpiece of evolution, forged to survive in one of the most brutal arenas on the planet. The ending is brutal but full of surprises. How do you feel when witnessing a battle where the line between predator and prey is so fragile? If you love wildlife exploration, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell icon to receive the latest videos.